How you going? So, another story for you. Now, the year would have been around about 2018, I think, give or take. And let me preface the story before I tell you that, without sounding like a dickhead, I've always kind of lived my life in a state of preparedness. And I think to myself, you know what, when I'm out and about doing whatever I'm doing, if I feel I can help someone or do something to help anyone, and I got time, and I haven't got my kids with me, I'll go out of my way to help anyone, okay, without sounding like a dick. Anyway, I preface the story with that because 2018, me and my partner at the time, I was working at a school, working with kids. I think it was a Friday afternoon, and I was fucking exhausted. I was done. I just had a huge week and I loved my job, but it had been such an intense week working with littlies and stuff. I was done. And me and my partner, we go to get some Subway, you know? So we're standing in Subway and there's a bloke, probably about 6'4", 6'5", standing in front of us in line, bald. And he had a very intense presence about him, very intense presence. And as he was ordering his Subway, he started to talk to the girl behind the counter about how he's got terminal cancer. And if I remember correctly, I think he even started crying while telling the young Subway clerk about his terminal cancer. So he orders and walks out, and my girlfriend at the time looks at me and says, you know, you got to go talk to him and see if you can pray for him or something like that. And I went, I know. And I'm just painting the picture. I was so exhausted. You know what? Let's be honest. It was the last thing I wanted to do. Last thing I wanted to do. I wanted to grab my Subway. I wanted to go home and eat and have a beer and switch off. But I digress. I said, sure. So she ordered the Subway. we were in Tugun at the time. I went for a walk outside the shop to look for him. I went down towards the beach. He wasn't there. So I walked back down towards the main drag in Tugun. As I went around the corner, couldn't see anyone. And I'll be honest. Internally, I'm like, yes, I don't have to talk to anyone. So I start to beeline down the main drag. Who walks out of a shop right in front of me? This big, bald bloke. And I stop him and I go, mate, listen, I'm not a psycho. I heard what you said to the young lady in Subway, that you got terminal cancer. And look, I just wanted to say, number one, I'm so sorry to hear that, man. That is heartbreaking. And I go, number two, I'd love to maybe pray with you, pray for you, whatever. So all of a sudden, he's telling me his story. He was an RACQ driver, did breakdowns and what have you, and was actually, even though he looked quite intimidating, was a lovely bloke. And he broke down in the street telling me his story, how he'd just been diagnosed with cancer. I'm not sure what sort of cancer it was, but it was terminal. He had about 3 or 4 months to live. I remember at one stage cuddling him in the street. He's crying. It was intense. I'm not trying to impress you. I'm just telling you what happened. Anyway, he had to go. And I said, listen, can I come and see you? And he said, listen, I'm going into hospital next week. I think it was the week after. And he said, I'm going into hospital for treatment. I said, can I come in and visit? He said, sure. So fast forward a couple of weeks. I go to the hospital. It was John Flynn in Tugun. I asked the ladies where he was. I went up. He was about on the 3rd or 4th floor somewhere. Lying in a bed is this big, tall, bald, intimidating bloke. He's not so intimidating anymore. He's actually a lovely guy. And I sit with him. And he tells me again he's only got a few months to live and he's breaking down in tears. And I said to him, listen, I'm a Christian. I'd love to pray for you. And he said, sure. So I'm holding his hand, in this hospital bed. And I prayed for him. And he's crying again. Pretty sure I started crying. And I just said a simple prayer for healing for him. And that was about it. His wife comes in, and she's very, very sus of me, as if you wouldn't be. I mean, take a good look. But she was very wary, and I said, listen, I ran into your hubby on the street. I'm not here for his money. I'm not here for anything. I'm a Christian, want to pray for him, just hang with him, be here for him. That was about it. And I was being deadly serious. And she was lovely as well. We ended up having like about an hour hanging out with coffees and chatting about life and how they were going to go travel around Australia and all this sort of stuff. So I leave. I don't hear anything else for a month or two. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get a phone call from him. Now, I can't verify this. I don't have any evidence whatsoever, but I get a phone call from him, and I can't even remember his name, but I get a phone call. And I see his name pop up, and I'm like, g'day, mate, how are you? And he tells me that his cancer is completely gone. He is completely healed of whatever terminal cancer he had. And I went, you're kidding me, aren't you? And he goes, no, mate. He goes, I just want to ring you and thank you for taking the time out to come and spend some time with me and reach out and pray for me and hang out with me. And I said, mate, that's no dramas at all, no problem. And again, I have no evidence of this. I haven't spoken to this man since, but he told me over the phone that his terminal cancer was completely gone, doctors baffled, and him and his wife were going to jump in the car and go around Australia. Make of that what you will. True story.